work for you. I don't know what to do. With some people, I just want to punch them in the face sometimes.
Welcome to Employees Who Got Brutally Fired on Undercover Boss, a wild countdown of the most jaw-dropping moments when incognito CEOs had enough and dropped the hammer. Ever wonder what happens when a cocky employee forgets that the new hire might be the head honcho in disguise? Spoiler alert, nothing good for the employee. Today we're counting down 7 shocking terminations caught on camera, mixing drama with a dash of humor. These stories range from fast food fiascos to gym tantrums, and they prove that when you disrespect customers or break the rules, karma's got a corporate name tag. But before we dive into these viral-worthy terminations, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more outrageous workplace stories. Leave a comment about which firing you think was most deserved, or share any crazy boss-employee stories of your own. Who knows, maybe your tale could be number 8 on our next list. Now, let's get into the juicy countdown of accountability undercover style. Grab your popcorn because these CEOs did not come to play. 7. Baja Fresh, the burrito drop that got someone dropped. At number 7 is a spicy story from Baja Fresh Season 2.
Going by the name Ken Sang, a video clerk in Los Angeles.
CEO David Kim went undercover in his Mexican fast casual chain, hoping to wrap some burritos, but he ended up unwrapping a nasty secret instead. Disguised as a new trainee, David worked alongside an employee who took the 5-second rule to outrageous lengths. In a moment that made viewers everywhere yell, "Ew!" this employee casually admitted to serving food that had been dropped on the floor. Yes, you read that right. Our undercover CEO nearly choked on his guacamole when his coworker basically said, "If it hits the floor, just pick it up and serve it." Talk about a recipe for disaster. David Kim, normally a soft-spoken and humble leader, was horrified. This is a company that prides itself on fresh ingredients, and here was an employee treating the kitchen like a basketball court. Floor burrito, 2 points. In a dramatic reveal meeting, David couldn't let this slide, literally. He confronted the culprit with the evidence, reminding everyone that serving floor-seasoned tacos is not in the training manual. The CEO's response was swift and justified. He terminated the employee for the gross misconduct, making it clear that customer safety comes first. Viewers were entirely on David's side, imagining the burrito blunder that might have been served to an unsuspecting customer. In the end, David reinforced a valuable lesson. In the restaurant biz, if you drop it, stop it, or you might get dropped from the payroll too. From a messy mishap at a burrito joint to a meltdown at a burger joint, let's see who's next on the chopping block. If you think serving floor food was bad, number 6 features an employee so greasy, even a deep fryer couldn't clean up their act. 6. Fat Burger, faster firing. Sliding in at number 6 is a case from Fat Burger Season 4.
You look at how much competition is trying to catch up with us. It's frightening. So I'm really excited to go undercover.
CEO Andy Wiederhorn went undercover to check on his burger empire and instead found an employee with extra orders of bad behavior. This particular worker was a one-person wrecking crew, sneaking food on the side, apparently believing in free lunch for themselves, and mistreating customers with a side of attitude. While Andy flipped burgers incognito, this employee was flipping the company values out the window. They slacked off, handed out unauthorized freebies, or maybe just straight up stole meals, and talked to paying customers like they were more of an annoyance than the reason paychecks exist. Now, Andy Wiederhorn is a guy who knows about second chances. Fun fact, he actually did time in prison for a financial crime and turned his life around to become Fat Burger's CEO.
Part of my settlement was 14 months in custody in a federal prison.
But even Andy's patience has limits. When the undercover boss reveal arrived, Andy summoned the rule-breaking employee for a serious reality check. In a brutal but justified takedown, he made it clear that stealing from the company and disrespecting guests is a one-way ticket out the door. To top it off, Andy likely reminded them, and everyone watching, that integrity isn't optional, even in a fast food kitchen. The other employees who worked hard and played by the rules cheered this move. In the end, Fat Burger served us a valuable combo, accountability with a side of justice. Next up, burgers, done. Now we shift gears from fast food to sporting goods. Coming in at number 5 is a case where the boss of a retail chain hears an employee mocking customers and the company. Spoiler, it doesn't end with an Employee of the Month award. Fünftes Modell's sporting goods, no game for this player. At number 5, we have a sports store saga from Modell's sporting goods.
Oh my God. I'm going undercover because
CEO Mitchell Medell put on a disguise, hoping to find star employees on the sales floor. Instead, he found one bad team player who was way out of bounds. This particular employee thought it was cool to mock customers and trash talk the company, not realizing the quiet new hire next to them was actually the big boss and the owner of the 100-year-old family business. The scene was almost comical. Imagine Joe the trainee, really Mitchell, listening as a disgruntled staffer rolled their eyes at shoppers, asking questions, and muttered under their breath about how our products are overpriced or this company is a joke. The employee even tried to rope Mitchell's undercover persona into the griping, "This place is ridiculous, am I right?" Mitchell played along just long enough to gather evidence, but you can bet his blood was boiling under that fake mustache. When reveal day came, Mitchell Maudel swapped his wig for a sharp suit and confronted this employee head-on. The termination was swift and decisive. Mitchell, usually a jovial guy, sternly explained that such behavior was completely unacceptable. Customers are the lifeblood of the business, and an employee who belittles them and the company simply has no place on the team. The employee was left slack-jawed, realizing too late that they had been bad-mouthing the boss's beloved company to the boss himself. In the end, Medell's proved that in retail, respecting the customer isn't optional, it's the whole ballgame. Moving along, from sports store drama to gym insanity, our next fired employee took no pain, no gain, and turned it into no filter, no job. Get ready for number 4, a gym manager whose mouth ran a marathon right out of employment. Flexing into number 4 is one of the most infamous undercover boss firings ever, Retro Fitness Season 4. Meet Jacqueline, a front desk manager who delivered the ultimate gym rant in front of the undercover CEO, Eric Casaburi. If there were Olympic medals for bad attitude, Jacqueline took home the gold in this episode. She thought she was training a clueless new employee named Barry. Little did she know Barry was Casaburi, the founder and CEO, secretly taking notes on her customer service from hell. Jacqueline wasted no time showing her true colors. She boasted about ignoring customers to play on her iPhone and unleashed an unending stream of bile at gym members. Some of her greatest hits? "Members are literally stupid," she sneered and confessed. "With some people, I just want to punch them in the face sometimes."
You just want to punch them in the face sometimes.
oh, I did that.
All while the stunned CEO looked on, doing mental backflips. She even dropped an F-bomb at work, barking, "I am not a app slave," at Barry when asked to do basic tasks. This was beyond a red flag, it was a full-on siren. Other employees and members stood frozen as Jacqueline's tirades echoed through the gym. At one point, she shrieked at a departing customer, "Your payment is overdue," so viciously that everyone in earshot stopped in their tracks.
Your payment's overdue.
I know, I'm gonna pay it tomorrow.
No, you have to pay today. Hello, no, listen. How many times do I have to tell you?
If Retro Fitness had a "please do not do this" training video, Jacqueline was accidentally filming it live. CEO Eric Casaburi kept his cool undercover, but you could tell he was fuming inside. Fast forward to the big reveal, Eric returns sans disguise, likely with the same expression a parent has when their toddler draws on the wall with permanent marker. He even brings in the franchise owner, Bob, for backup.
Yes, I know who it is.
Hey, Eric.
Bob, I called you in because you're my franchisee.
Facing Jacqueline, Eric and Bob confront her about her outrageous behavior. Bob doesn't mince words. He tells her, "We have to part ways. I can't have you behind the counter like this. I'm disappointed."
Using language behind the desk.
That's CEO speak for "you're fired, effective immediately." In that moment, Jacqueline's jaw practically hits the floor mat. Her response? Not an apology, of course. She sniffs. "Maybe I dropped the F-bomb, like I can't even deal." Yes, she really can't even. Even as she's being let go, she mutters another expletive, totally unrepentant. The firing was as brutal as it was necessary. Casaburi made it clear that her toxic attitude was intolerable in a customer-driven business, and viewers loved it. They had zero sympathy for Jacqueline. "Good job removing the crazy girl," one viewer tweeted in approval. Casaburi himself chimed in on Twitter, saying, "I don't remove people, they remove themselves." Mic drop. In the end, Retro Fitness lost one rude manager, but gained a legendary cautionary tale. Eric Casaburi's undercover workout revealed that sometimes the biggest muscle you need in business is the one that fires people who deserve it. As Eric might say, toxic employees remove themselves, and this one was benched for good. After that gym drama, you'd think employees would learn not to badmouth customers on camera. Think again. Our number 3 pick shows someone who hated customers even more loudly, and he said it to his undercover boss's face. Grab a plate, it's about to get heated at Boston Market. 3. Boston Market, rotisserie roast, customer hater gets burned. 3. Boston Market, rotisserie roast, customer hater gets burned. The number 3 spot goes to a Boston Market episode, season 4, that left viewers' jaws on the floor, and an employee named Ronnie out of a job. This was a landmark moment, the first time in Undercover Boss history that a worker was fired on the spot during the show. And boy, did he earn it. Ronnie was a shift supervisor training what he thought was a new waitress. In reality, that new hire, struggling to carry trays, was Sarah Bittorf, the company's chief brand officer undercover. Ronnie, however, didn't bother with niceties. He was too busy going on a hate-fueled rant about customers right in front of her. As the lunch rush went on, Ronnie kept venting to his colleague, Sarah, about how awful the customers were. I literally
hate customers more than the entire world.
I hate them so much, he declared, cameras rolling. He complained that customers are terrible, it's all about them all the time, and they demand everything. All this while being filmed for national TV. Bold move, Ronnie. It was like he forgot the service in food service. Sarah tried to remain in character, but you could see her eyes widening in disbelief and fury with each ugly comment. As an executive who genuinely values guests, she reached a boiling point. Sarah actually had to step away for a moment to collect herself because she was livid hearing an employee openly trash the very people who keep the business running. My job's on the line and this can't happen on my watch.
You know, it can't happen on my watch.
She told the camera, barely containing her anger. Then came the moment of truth. Sarah pulled Ronnie aside and in a dramatic reveal, told him who she really was. Imagine the color draining from Ronnie's face as he realized the random lady he'd been spewing vitriol to was a top executive, his boss's boss. Sarah Bittorf did not waste time. She terminated Ronnie on the spot. Without the guests in there, we don't have a business, and you don't have a paycheck.
Without the guests in there, we don't have a business, and you don't have a paycheck, and neither do I,
she said bluntly, roasting him harder than Boston Market's ovens ever could. Talk about a reality check. Ronnie was left holding his visor in shock as Sarah told the local manager to finalize the firing. This undercover boss did not blink. She sacrificed her undercover mission to protect customers' dignity, and viewers applauded her for it. Ronnie's reaction was the cherry on top of this disaster. Instead of showing remorse, he doubled down. He insisted he didn't think he did anything that terrible. It's not wrong of me to hate people, he shrugged.
It's not wrong of me to hate people.
As if basic human decency is optional. To the cameras, he even whined, they don't know I'm saying it, so it's not that big a deal, but now this giant lady of Boston Market knows what's going on. That's just not fair, he huffed, actually calling Sarah, the executive, a giant lady of Boston Market. Pro tip, insulting your boss's physique after being fired on TV is probably not the best look. The audacity was off the charts, and so was the entertainment value. Viewers were shook and overwhelmingly sided with Sarah's decision. Many praised her for standing up for the customer, with comments like, "Good riddance, Ronnie," floating around the internet. After all, who wants to be served by someone who hates your guts? The consensus, Sarah's on-the-spot firing was brutal, but absolutely justified. In the aftermath, Ronnie joined the Hall of Fame of fired employees, and Boston Market sent a clear message: if you hate customers, you might as well hand in your name tag. This segment went viral as a teachable moment that in the hospitality industry, or any industry, is career suicide. Consider Ronnie well done and done for. Keep watching, it gets even crazier. We've seen rants and rule breaking, but our next fired employee found a whole new way to mess up by not wearing something. Coming in at number 2 is a story so outrageous it sparked a social media firestorm. Get ready for bikinis, brews, and a boss with a very questionable reward system. 2. Bikinis Sports Bar and Grill, dress code debacle, aka it's called bikinis, not t-shirts. Our number 2 entry might just take the cake or the chicken wings for the most cringeworthy firing on Undercover Boss. In Season 6, Doug Guller, CEO of Bikinis Sports Bar and Grill, went undercover at his own restaurant chain, a sports bar where the uniforms are, you guessed it, bikinis. What unfolded was a cocktail of ridiculous demands and controversial decisions that had viewers and the internet in an uproar. The star of this train wreck was a bartender named Jessica. While undercover as Jake, Doug observed Jessica doing a decent job serving drinks, but she made a couple of mistakes. She overpoured alcohol for customers, a no-no, and mentioned she had ambitions beyond working at a bikini bar. How dare she want a career, right? But Jessica's biggest transgression, when the time came to film a promo segment, she refused to wear her bikini top on camera. Instead, she wore the bar's standard but less revealing t-shirt because her grandmother might see the show. This was a personal boundary for her. She had no issue with the uniform off camera, but didn't want to be broadcast in a bikini on national TV. Sounds reasonable enough, not to Doug Guller. This CEO absolutely lost it. He fumed to the cameras that he was pissed about Jessica covering up, complaining, "It's called bikinis, not t-shirts."
It's called bikinis. I mean,
Yes, he literally said that, probably pounding his fist on a table of nachos in frustration. To Doug, Jessica's modesty was a big bummer, apparently bigger than any other issues in the bar. When Doug revealed himself as the boss, things went from awkward to downright ugly. He sat Jessica down for the final evaluation and zeroed in on her outfit choice. You'd think she had committed a heinous crime by the way he spoke. He acknowledged her other slip-ups, like overserving a customer, but made it crystal clear that the main reason he was firing her was her refusal to wear a bikini top on TV. In front of everyone, Doug told Jessica she was terminated, effectively for not wanting to flash millions of viewers. Brutal, absolutely. Justified, debatable at best. Jessica was stunned and upset. She left both her job and the show in tears, becoming a cautionary tale about an extreme dress code enforcement. Doug's parting shot was essentially that if you won't wear the bikini at Bikinis, you're out. But hold on, the saga doesn't end there. Doug Guller then turned around and did something that cranked the controversy to 11. He decided to reward another waitress, Grace, with a very special prize, free breast augmentation surgery. Yes, you read that right. He literally said, "I'm going to make you a deal. If you're a rock star for the next 6 months, I'll pay for your boobs," paraphrasing, but essentially offering a boob job bonus. Grace was ecstatic, laughing that this gift makes my job so much easier. I don't even have to talk as much because they do the talking. Her words, not ours.
It just makes my job so much easier. Like, I don't even have to talk as much. They do all the talking.
It was a surreal moment. One employee fired for not showing enough skin, another bribed with implants to potentially show more, all on television. The reaction was immediate and fiery. Viewers and the internet exploded with outrage. Twitter lit up with people calling the episode everything from gross to straight out of the 1950s. The consensus was that Doug had behaved like a grade A creep. As one Yelp reviewer famously put it, "Why would anyone who respects women spend their money in a dump like this?" The backlash was so bad that it became national news. Even Time magazine highlighted how Guller fired Jessica for the bikini refusal and offered the implant incentive, noting how the Twitterverse was not pleased. Public opinion did a collective facepalm. This Undercover Boss episode turned into a PR nightmare for Bikini Sports Bar and Grill. And fun fact, a few years later, the entire chain went defunct. Maybe karma catching up. In terms of brutality, this firing was ice cold. Doug Guller essentially said company image greater than employee dignity on camera. You could argue it was viral worthy for all the wrong reasons. Comically, the only silver lining was the sheer amount of memes and jokes that emerged, skewering the absurdity of the situation. Dress code violation. That's a tissue. At the end of the day, Jessica walked away with her principles intact and a ton of viewer sympathy, while Doug earned himself a public relations spanking. The lesson? Maybe don't run a family-friendly segment of your business if you're going to fire someone for not wearing a bikini on CBS at 8 p.m. In this countdown of brutal terminations, Bikinis' saga stands out as the most controversial. It's a story we won't soon forget, equal parts dramatic, infuriating, and darkly comedic in its absurdity. Drumroll, please. We've reached the #1 spot, and trust me, this one's a doozy. It involves a fast food manager so nasty that the CEO blew his cover mid-episode in a fit of anger. Ready for the ultimate undercover confrontation? Let's wrap up with a bang at Checkers and Rallies. 1. Checkers and Rallies, check yourself, you're fired. Finally, #1 on our list is the legendary showdown at Checkers and Rallies Season 3 that still has fans talking. This wasn't just an employee getting fired, it was a manager being so abusive that the undercover CEO literally stopped the operation and said, "Enough," on the spot. The CEO in question is Rick Silva of Checkers and Rallies Drive-In, and the villain of this story is a general manager known only as Steven. This episode set the bar for brutal termination so high, it involved shutting down an entire restaurant in the middle of the dinner rush. Here's the play-by-play of this epic saga. Rick Silva went undercover, flipping burgers and frying fries at one of his drive-ins in Florida. Almost immediately, he noticed something was off. The employees were on edge. Why? Because their GM, Stevens, was a tyrant. Rick's co-worker, an employee named Todd, confided that Stevens regularly screamed at the staff and even threatened to beat him up if he didn't work fast enough. Yes, you heard right, the boss was basically running the place like a drill sergeant, dishing out verbal abuse and physical threats. Rick witnessed this firsthand when, as the new guy, he was being trained by Todd. Stevens barked at Todd to
Sir!
later barked at Rick, too. The tension in that kitchen was thicker than a milkshake. The boiling point came when Rick, still undercover, tried to address how Stevens treated the team. Stevens blew up at him. In a heated back and forth outside the restaurant, Stevens snapped,
"But I'm not gonna let you continue telling me I'm disrespecting my crew. Have you been in the fast food business before?"
He was practically in Rick's face, challenging his authority. Oh, the irony. Rick attempted to stay in character.
No, I haven't.
He lied at first. But Stevens kept pushing, bragging that if he didn't yell, employees wouldn't listen, and questioning Rick's knowledge. That's when Rick Silva just couldn't take it anymore. Screw the disguise. This situation called for immediate action. Rick looked Stevens in the eye and threw off the facade.
I do, I'll be honest with you. I have been in the restaurant business for over 20 years. I'm CEO for this company.
Mic drop. The reveal was not in a comfy boardroom at episode's end, but right there in the parking lot, with cameras rolling and grease still on their aprons. Stevens' jaw dropped to the floor like an unflipped burger as Rick delivered the next blow.
Right here, right now, we're going to shut the restaurant down.
And that's exactly what he did. Rick literally closed the restaurant on the spot to end the madness. He told everyone to go home because the shift was over effective immediately. Talk about dropping the hammer. The employees, especially poor Todd, looked like they just witnessed a superhero unmask. In a way, they did. Their CEO showed up and saved the day. Now you might say, isn't this list about employees getting fired? Did Rick fire Stevens on the spot? Technically, Rick sent Stevens off for retraining and removed him from that store, which is corporate speak that usually precedes a firing. For our purposes, this counts as an incredibly public termination. The next day, the restaurant reopened under a new manager, and Stevens was no longer in charge. You can bet he didn't last long after. Rick Silva's actions were seen as totally justified. I mean, how often do you see a CEO go nuclear like this? Viewers went wild when this episode aired, practically giving Rick a standing ovation from their couches. The internet buzzed with comments like, "Rick Silva equals hero," and astonishment at how calmly and quickly he handled a very dangerous situation. By shutting things down, Rick protected his team and customers on the spot. Perhaps the most memorable part was the dialogue during the confrontation. When Stevens asked if Rick had any experience, Rick's deadpan reveal of,
"I'm CEO for this company,"
left Stevens speechless. You could practically hear millions of viewers shouting, "Gotcha." It was an iconic TV moment, so much so that news outlets reported on it extensively. Even years later, this scene circulates on social media as the ultimate example of a boss laying down the law. One article quipped that Rick was so disgusted by the abusive manager that he reveals his true identity and shuts down the restaurant, which sums it up perfectly. Silva later explained he simply could not walk away knowing his employees were in that hostile environment. In terms of brutality, this was less personal insult and more righteous fury. Rick Silva delivered the corporate equivalent of a knockout punch. Not only did Stevens lose his position, but he was humiliated on national TV, caught red-handed and dressed down by the CEO in front of his crew. And unlike some other entries on our list, everyone was clapping for this outcome. This Checkers and Rallies saga is the #1 for a reason. It combined high drama, an undercover boss blowing his cover, instant consequences, and a satisfying comeuppance for a bully. As Rick Silva said while ending the confrontation, "We're done here." Indeed, consider this employee from hell permanently 86th from the menu, and there you have it, 7 employees and managers who got brutally fired on Undercover Boss, each with their own flavor of fiasco. If you enjoyed this countdown of corporate comeuppance, hit that like button and let us know which firing shocked you the most. Now go forth and be a good employee, or at least don't do anything that would land you on this list.